There we go. We've got everyone muted, I think.
We do.
Be good.
Hi, Jessie.
Hi, Liz. Hi, everyone. Great to have you all here. There's so many people attending today. It's amazing.
Right, hopefully I'm clicking all the right buttons here.
We'll be
Let
good.
everybody in. For those that are in, welcome. If you want to pop into the chat where you are dialing in from, your location, and if you want to share what organisation you are representing. And I know that some of you may have multiple organisations, so up to you whether you share them all or just pick one. It doesn't matter, but I know that especially being National Volunteer Week, we normally have more than one thing on the go, which is why we're all here today, so that we can be more effective and efficient when it comes to finding grants for everything that we're involved with.
Oh, I'm a fellow Sunny Coaster. I'm ex-Victorian, so I can jump in both camps, but yep, Sunshine Coast for me.
Oh, cool.
Wow, great mix, guys. Thanks for putting all your organisations in there. That's cool. Right across Australia, Liz.
Yes. There we go, Victoria. Mornington Peninsula. Well, I know most of these places are awesome. And I also recognise some names when the ticket orders were coming through. Sometimes I'd click on them and have a wee gaze at who was joining us today. So amazing. Cool. So we'll just wait one more minute to let everybody in so that I'm not clicking the button and we can focus on what we're doing. I hope everyone's got their pen and notepad. We have got some slides, but it's all in the talking. But also want to let you know that we are recording it and everybody will get the link to that recording in the next couple of days as well. So if you do miss anything, have to take a phone call or go off to a meeting, don't worry, you won't miss out. We will record this, we are recording this, and we will send it to you. And we've got
Excellent.
a few.
I can keep letting people in, Liz, if you want.
Perfect. Brilliant. Awesome. So thanks so much to everybody for sharing where they are from, and we will make a start. So today's webinar, I will call it, has really come out of my love for the Grants Hub. So I'm Liz Fleming. I've got the Grants Club, so let's not get confused. And this, wasn't, Jessie had Grants Hub first, I'll give you that, and then the Grants Club. So I'm a grant writer, strategist, and love helping people get money from the government, basically. I'm a chartered accountant. I did a bit of a stint in Victorian government a couple of years ago, pre-COVID, which really introduced me to the world of grants. And now I've been in business for nearly 5 years, helping businesses, not-for-profits, community groups and sporting clubs to get the government money that they deserve. So by helping them strategize and write the grants for you as well. So there'll be opportunities to learn how you can work with us, or me specifically, at the end of the webinar. And also just want to acknowledge that this week is National Volunteer Week. So thank you to all the volunteers that do so much great work in Australia and around the world. And this is something that's dear to my heart. I think we've all being part of a community, being part of a community group where we know that it doesn't happen unless someone takes the reins and takes the lead and volunteers their time. So it's Liz Fleming here from the Grants Club, and we've got Jessie Ballantyne from the Grants Hub. She created it 13 years ago, and I'm excited to have her here and also learn about why she started it and how it has evolved over the last few years as well. So thank you to everyone for joining us. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to learn how to search like a pro. And at the end of it, I want you to have the confidence to be able to find those grants for your organisation effectively and efficiently so that you can make the applications and then get that money in your bank account as well. So we're just going to start with a poll. Do you currently have a subscription with the Grants Hub? So we know some people will, some people won't, and that's totally fine. just pop your answer into the chat. We're just curious to see who has already subscribed to the fabulous Grants Hub. And if you can't, in case you can't tell, I absolutely love the Grants Hub. And this is why.
I should just say, Liz is not being paid for this, by the way. She came to me and she was like, I love the Grants Hub so much. But she uses it as a grant writer and we don't have internal grant writers. So this is like literally, it's a non-commercial kind of arrangement going on here. Liz is like, I want to show people how to use the Grants Hub for Volunteers Week. Do you want to be a part of it? I'm like, that's great. It's awesome.
Thanks, Jessie. And also, I ran this similar webinar with clients of mine to help them learn more about the Grants Hub and search. And then when I caught up with them a couple of weeks later, they were like, Liz, I found all these grants. And they were so excited. So I just knew that I had to share this with heaps of people once they knew how to do it and they were finding those grants. Because as I keep telling people, there's always more than 2,500 grants available in Australia at any one time, which is just so many, and trying to sift through them all can be a bit of a nightmare. And also, I do realise that most people don't like doing grants. I know that I'm a little bit of an enigma when it comes to that, and I've turned it into a business. So we've got a good combination of organisations that are subscribed and aren't subscribed. So that's totally fine. You'll learn more about it, and I'm sure you are getting a lot of information from Jessie's great emails that she sends out to a database as well. Susan, I like it. I'm just very bad at it. That's amazing. So hopefully you can take away some tips today so that we can get better at it. Awesome. So, as I said, I'm Liz, and we've got Jessie. Jessie, I'm just going to ask you, why did you create the Grants Hub, and how did it come about?
Look, I created it because it was so hard to find grants. So I was in this role. Look, my original background is international aid and development. So I was kind of in this space where I landed in grants. I could write, I could do math. Probably like many of you, someone needed to do it and I could do it. So I landed in it that way. Then I worked at the city of Casey, so one of Victoria's biggest councils, a rapidly growing area. And my role there was grants facilitator. So part of that was applying for state and federal government grants, like the really big stuff where you're working cross team to pull those applications together. And then the other part of the role was increasing the community's capacity in how to find and apply for grants. I'm like, this is really difficult. So I started my own, it started in Microsoft Word as a table, and then just started this list of people in the local city of Casey community. And started running some workshops, and it's just kind of taken off. And, you know, there was this obvious need for something. Then I finished in that role. You know, someone else was doing the role. I had one baby at this stage, and I was living in regional Victoria, and I'm like, I want to solve this grants problem. Like, I think this could be solved. I wanted something that I could do in regional Victoria. Now I'm up in Queensland, but basically trying to make it easier for you guys to find and apply for grants. So that's literally where it started, to help people like you just take the pain out of it. Yeah, so that's kind of the backstory to the Grants Hub, literally going from something where it was just like people either Googling or scrolling through hundreds of pages of PDFs that would land in their inbox once a month, to go, let's make this smart, let's make it something that looks nice, with some images and things. And yeah, that's the backstory.
That's amazing. And did the Grants Hub back then look like it does now, or like tell us a little bit about that evolution of the directory once you got out of the Word document?
Yeah, so to be clear, the Word document was at the city of Casey, so that's like completely separate information. So I didn't take anything from there. Let's put that one out there. But you know, that's how I was running it there. And I think they stopped that list. I don't really know what happened with that actually. They now subscribe to the Grants Hub, so they're, you know, it's kind of still helping that community. So I just started. My brother is a web designer. He was back then. I'm like, I've got this idea. So it started on a piece of paper. I'm like, I want these boxes here. I want favorites. I want different views. Like went to IKEA because I had a 1-year-old. So I was at IKEA buying craft supplies, got this big roll of butcher's paper.
I love that
and
IKEA
I've still got
paper.
it.
I still use that
So
now.
good. It's the best. If anyone needs paper, oh my gosh, it's amazing.
$7.
So it was like rolled it out on the dining table at home, and then I was pregnant as well by the time I launched it. But yeah, just drew it out like so, like a wireframe, if anyone's using those now, pretty much a wireframe back then of what I wanted, got a developer on board, and just, yeah, built it from scratch. So the actual interface kind of hasn't changed significantly
Yeah,
since
right.
then because it was something that worked. So it was kind of this idea, and the grant highlights that we still send, people responded to those really well. So we've kept improving things. Things have obviously got faster. We've added more filters, like we've kept adding things that way. But yeah, it was kind of, we respond to what people are wanting. And where people want filters, some of those things change based on need, topics that people want. We added a heap of new topics this year to make searching easier, so that we're super responsive to customer. Yeah, but it's kind of just been
Amazing.
this evolution over time.
Cool. And is your brother still involved with the Grants Hub or?
I ask him questions like all the time. So he now works at a very big tech company. So he went over to the US. He's been very successful in his career, but anything design related, yeah, he definitely gets brought in on that. But he's like, I don't want to, I've offered him a job again so many times. He's like, no,
Brilliant.
but yeah,
Yeah,
he's
and
got
I
a strong
think
influence. But it was done like by a really good designer initially. And then, I've kind of kept that. Design is really important to us because it's not only what it looks like, it's how it makes it easier for you guys to find grants.
absolutely. And that's what we're all about today, to show you even some other tips of how to search for those grants. And I think I love that IKEA paper. I'm sitting here on my table and I've got a roll of it with my big coloured markers, planning out my workshops and other things. And I think the other thing, as you were talking, that's how we start planning our projects as well, whether it be a grant project, whether it be a growth project, or just scribbling. And that's what I say to my clients. Just get it down on paper, brainstorm, put all the different opportunities and options out there, and then we can be starting to look for grants. So thanks so much for sharing that story, Jessie. I do just absolutely love how it all started, and I think hopefully people can see that so many of our projects and programs start from such a little idea, or somebody saying, oh, I've got that problem, and you think, hang on, I think I've got a solution for that. I know that in my business, it's evolved over the last 5 years, and I've just leaned into what people are wanting and what people are asking me. And that's how I then moved from the business mentoring that I originally started doing into grants, because a whole lot of grants came out in my community and everyone's like, oh, I don't know how to do the applications. I was like, oh, they're easy. Might have also been the fact that I'd spent 2 years of my life at that government agency trying to get those business grants out to the world. And 2 years later, after I'd left, they were out there and we could take advantage of them. So it is also funny how things go in full circle. And I must say the Casey Council in Victoria do have a great email that they send out with lots of information for their businesses and organisations. Great to see that. So I think today also I want to just share why I think it's important to be able to search like a pro. And basically my main reason here is because we're all too busy. We're all trying to do a million things. We might have full-time jobs, businesses, and whether we're working in businesses, not-for-profits, community groups, sporting clubs, so that our kids can continue to play the sport, nobody has enough time. So today it's about streamlining our processes and just sharing some tips about how we can be effective and efficient in using a grants directory like the Grants Hub. And I just really want to set the scene, because I want you to be thinking about, everybody's doing great work. And, I always take a very positive view when it comes to grants. And my philosophy is, if the grants are out there and we're eligible, we need to do our hardest within reason, within the resources that we've got, to be able to apply for it. And that's why I do what I do. So thank you to everyone for the great work that they do in their organisations. And now we just want to take it to that next level to make sure that we're not missing out on these grants. And you may see others getting grants and thinking, well, hang on, why did we miss out on that? And unfortunately, the government don't tap us on the shoulder and say, hey, here's a grant you can apply for. We have to be proactive and search for them ourselves. Not knowing how to search, that's a completely valid thing, or people being overwhelmed. And as I've said earlier, there are 2,500 grants out there at any one time in Australia. That doesn't mean to say that we're eligible for all of them, but it also means that's a lot to roll through to find the ones that we are in fact eligible for. And that's what the Grants Hub directory does such a great job of. Also working out what projects we actually want funded. So if someone comes to me and says, hey Liz, I need a grant, my first question will be, what for, what's your project, and what are we actually going to spend money on? At the end of the day, that's what the grants are about, giving us money to do something. Normally to do something that's going to have greater impact, create benefits for the community or, our business community, or fast track a project. And remembering that grants are a way for the governments, local councils, state governments, and federal, and some private organisations as well, to outsource their good for the community as well. So how can we align our projects with the grant funders' objectives and also our own organisational goals as well?
Can I add in here, Liz?
Yes.
Another one is like we've got a lot of corporate funding providers that we're working with. And so, I'm emailing back and forwards a lot now with those. So you think your bigger, your banks or Westfield or health funds, there's a lot of those. They genuinely want to give back to the community. So, the people running these grants programs have got the responsibility to help reinvest back into the community. Those opportunities are sitting there, so let's make the most of them too. They've got a need that they want to get the money out there. So the more that you can find of those, the better it helps them meet their goals too. It's two-sided.
Absolutely. No, completely. And I think also in the work I do, yes, I do grants, but it actually becomes a funding strategy. And I had a discovery call this morning with a client where we've talked about sponsorship, and the same information goes into those proposals, those sponsorship documents, and it's just pitching it slightly differently to who we're going to as well. So being mindful of that information and those resources. Now, in every workshop that I do, I always ask this question: how much free money are you missing out on in grant opportunities, or do you think you've missed out on? And I don't want you to put a dollar figure on it. I don't really want to dwell on the past, but I think it's more about drawing that line in the sand and now for the future and going, we don't want to miss out on these opportunities anymore. So we've got to get prepared. We've got to become grant ready. And the first step is knowing how to search properly, because if we're not finding those grants, we absolutely can't apply. I do just want to also say at this point, if anybody has any questions as we're moving through, please pop them into the chat, put a capital letter Q, and then we'll be able to answer them at the end when we do our Q&A as well. So if there's any questions that pop up as we're talking, please pop them into the chat now. Now, this is the Grants Hub, in case you haven't seen it before. And I was just telling Jessie earlier that when I first did this slide, I actually put my own website up there instead of the Grants Hub. So just a funny story. But I promise you, we will be going to the Grants Hub. And what I'm going to do now is take you through a demo of how I search. We're going to go through what the Grants Hub looks like and all the great resources that are on there, and how to best use that directory for your organisation. So just bear with me for a moment while I swap slides stuff. Here we go. There we go. Now, hopefully, can everyone see the web page that I'm on now? Which is exactly what was on the slide. So when you type in grantshub.com.au into your URL, this is what will come up. You can do a 14-day trial for free. And as you said, I've got no affiliation with the Grants Hub. I don't get any kickbacks, which is totally fine. I just absolutely love this directory. It's the one I use in my business every day. And I just want more people to know about it, because then I don't have to spend my time searching for grants for clients. You can then come to me with the ones you've found, and then we can focus on the strategic part of it and also writing the grants in the short timeframes that we're given. So when we log in, if you haven't signed up already, but you might want to wait to the end, because there is a special offer that Jessie has generously given for National Volunteers Week. So don't sign up quite yet. Just follow along and watch.
Or you can start your free trial if you want to on this. There's no credit card. Yeah. It's sounding like a sales pitch, but there's no credit card required. So that's a genuine, like for me, I still work in not-for-profits. Budgets are tight. You want to make sure you're spending your money in the right areas. If it's not for you, your 14 days gives you a chance just to check it and see. And if you don't want to go through, there's no cancellation required. It just cancels. That's fine. It's not for you.
Brilliant. And, sign up for those 14 days when you've got a chance and some time. But hopefully the tips that we give you will give you the confidence to be able to sign up for that 14 days, and for less, going to sound salesy, but 10 minutes a day, or there's different ways that we can be searching and using this to make it work for us. So I log in. Hopefully I'm already logged in. I am. So one thing I love about the Grants Hub is how colourful it is. This is just, when I'm logging in, and sometimes I'll log in first thing in the morning, I'll do a quick grant search. Or sometimes in the middle of the day when I'm, writing multiple grants and I'm like, oh, I just need my brain to like switch off to something different, I will log into the Grants Hub and see what grants are coming up. So this is what you will be greeted with. I'm on the Essential plan because it's just me. And basically what we need to be doing is working out what categories does our organisation sit in. So are we government? Are we a community group? Are we a non-government? Are we a sporting club? Do we deal in education? Are we a business? Are we health? Or are we an individual? So these are just some of the main categories that we have. And you may see here that this is actually the featured grants that I have that have come to me through businesses. What we're actually going to do is click on the logo on the left-hand side to take us back to like the homepage. Oh, no, it's not that one.
Sorry. Wrong one.
No,
we're looking at changing that actually, people, to make it easier.
I want to go to search actually. So basically, if you click on search, this is going to like take us to, hopefully if my internet works, take me to the search. Oh, that's right. And then what I actually do is I click search this top right and it's blank. So I didn't type anything here. Then we get into this screen here. This is my favorite screen because this allows you to refine your search and look at these topics. So there is a bit of pre-work that you need to be thinking about in terms of where does your agency sit, your organisation? What categories of grants are we looking at? I call them grant themes. And what spaces do we want to be operating in? So you'll see here there's anything from animals to community to kindergarten to drought, Indigenous, regional, LGBTQI+, research, sport and rec, cancer, women. Like these are all the main topics and objectives of, you know, the majority of the grants that are out there. Would you say that's right, Jessie?
Yep. So I was reading someone's questions in the chat there. What was the question, Liz? The topics?
Oh, just around the topics in terms of, you know, these are the main ones that we need to be able to categorize ourselves into as our organisation.
They're super common, super common grants category. So either a lot of our members are looking for those topics, or they might be like trending topics at the time. So that's where you'll see this change and evolve over time with grants. When I first started, we would have had community gardens would have been in those topics because that was like a really hot topic. We've moved into housing, there's LGBTI in there as well. Now, you know, there's women, there's a lot more, you know, as things change over time, you'll see grants like feed into that space.
Absolutely. And so we can click on here and you will see that will update. So I love that we don't have to like click and then click search. It sort of does it live, and we can click them all. We can go events, we can go rural and regional, we can go community, and you know, the list of grants here will change. So knowing what your topics are, I think, is number one. Which of these, and there'll be others as well, but of these main ones here, what ones work for you? You can change the view. I normally, that way. Again, depends on your preference. And here you can also change it to be sorted by best match, grant titles, alphabetical order, closing date, which is probably quite important because quite often grants are only open for anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks. And if we only find out about them on week 2 or 3, then we're down to 2 or 3 weeks to write the grant, which is totally possible, but you need to have done some prep work on your project and your organisation to be able to facilitate that. Otherwise, it becomes a really stressful time if you're trying to write a grant application, run your organisation, do all your other stuff as well. Amount as well. So again, if you know how much your projects are going to cost, are we looking for larger grants? Are we looking for a $5,000 grant? And these ones here I also look at as the most recently added and most recently updated. So sometimes I will come to this page and look for 10 minutes. I might have a specific client that I'm searching for, or I might just be having a perusal of like, oh, what grants are out there at the moment? And, you know, any of my clients or past clients eligible, or can I forward them on to them? Other times, like the other day, I spent 2 hours just reading through the always open ones, which we'll get to that category soon, and found some real gems in there as well. So I think, you know, when you have a subscription to this, we want to be able to have a bit of time just to, read through them and not be too prescriptive of what topics we're going to pick, because sometimes, you know, you might be thinking community or something, and there might be another grant that you're like, actually, we're eligible for that, but it's not one of our topics that we had thought about. So doing that work as well.
It's also one thing to learn to think strategically with what topic a project fits under. So if you're new to grants and still learning about how grants work, I was just speaking to someone yesterday and they were working in the area of grief in particular, and asked me whether there are grants for grief. There would be, but there wouldn't be a lot if you just searched for grief as a subject, like as a keyword search. But grief really fits under a broader spectrum of mental health and well-being. They mentioned suicide as well. So there's those topics, learning to think you might have this project, but what kind of a bigger, broader topic that is sort of trending in grants at the time or a popular grants topic could this fit under? So yeah, that's sort of the limitation, the pros and cons of going by topic first. If you're experienced and you know the broader topic, awesome. Otherwise, browsing through it, once you've refined some of your filters on the left there, it can be a good way to go as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And I do love that there are just all these different options. And I must admit, I actually never look at these topics. So I just go all topics and just scroll through. And what I do use a lot of though is this left-hand side,
Yeah.
refine your search. So again, amounts I don't normally look at because a grant up to $50,000 could mean that you could apply for $20,000. So also again, we don't want to be restricting ourselves too much. We want to narrow down this 2,534 grants, but we also want to be making sure that we're looking at the whole range of grants that we could be eligible for. This closing date is really good as well. I normally go for the next 3 months, mainly because if it's during the next 4 weeks, are we really going to have enough time? If I do contact a client, are they going to be able to pull it together? So next 3 months, and really we want to be looking forward. Grants are always a long game, and so we need to be looking forward 6 12 months. I had a client this morning where their event is in August this year, so 3 months away, and they've realized, oh, we're too late for grants. He's like, well, we're going to run our event in August, and then as soon as that event is finished, then we're going to start planning and applying for grants for the next year's event as well. That's really what you've got to be looking as well. So again, back to that strategic approach of what does our 2 to 3 year, 5-year plan look like? Because there is really, at a minimum, a 3 to 6 month delay from submitting the grant to finding out whether we are successful or not. Knowing where obviously you're located and where you are operating. I always say to people, since COVID, the governments have woken up to the fact that we only have one ABN, and we, register that in our main centre. We operate across Australia. So I normally either do all locations or national, or if I am looking specifically I did a workshop here in Queensland last week, so I did just click on Queensland here to find the business grants that were applicable for them. So again, depending on where you operate, where you're located, and where you want to operate as well. So what are those other future opportunities? The grant status is really important. We don't want to be really looking for grants that are closed if we're trying to find money now. So I'm always looking at open, opening soon, or always open. I wouldn't say there's too many in opening soon unless Jessie gets the insights, because that's the problem with grants. We don't normally find out about them until they are fully released. And then
there's more at the moment just because we're already getting next financial year's dates coming in. But yeah, that's a frustration from our end as well. We put it in there as soon as we get it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you might be thinking, well, why would you want to look at closed grants? If you are doing some planning, looking out to 2 or 3 years, you could click on the closed ones and browse through grants that have been in the past to see what types of grants. One word of caution on that is, just because a grant came out last year, just because they said that there would be 3 rounds and they're up to round 2, does not mean or guarantee that round 3 will ever happen. I've actually got a host of grants that we applied for last year, nearly 12 months ago, July and October, and we still haven't got an outcome for those grants as well. So again, just because the grant program gets put out there, you do all the applications, change in governments or change in budget priorities and all that sort of stuff doesn't also necessarily mean that they always actually give the money out, which again is frustrating. And this is the problem with grants, is that there's so much in the unknown. Every grant is different, every organisation is different, and we also don't know who else has applied. Sometimes we don't know what the total funding pool is, And we also don't know who's on the panel that's even doing the assessments either. So there's a lot of unknown, and that's why we've got to be really strategic and really prepared and when we're writing our applications. And then we come down to who can apply. So if we're not a government agency, I would actually untick that and click non-government. Are we in education? Are we in health? Again, as Jessie said, keep it broad in the beginning, and I would keep these open because you don't know. And I'm also a big believer of partnerships as well. So even say if I'm a business or a certain not-for-profit, and if there's a grant that I'm not eligible for because of my entity type, I might be able to partner with another community group or an eligible entity that could apply. So we could be looking here as well. And sometimes you might come across grants, you're like, oh, that's not applicable for our organisation, but I do know another organisation that might benefit from that, and I might let them know. I'm also a believer of sharing information, and, there's enough for everybody. And yes, they're competitive, but, let it be up to the government agencies to decide who's got the best projects, basically. And we just need to make sure we're writing those applications showcasing that we've got the best project. DGR status, so that is the deductible gift recipient status. If you are a charity and not-for-profit, you may be DGR. You have to apply for it separately, and it has to be approved by the government. And so you may not be DGR as well. Again, I just leave it yes, no, unspecified to make sure we're not missing out on the grants that we can apply for. And co-contribution, this means that there might be grants for a project that they'll only fund up to 50% of your project, and you need to fund the other 50%. And so knowing whether you've got those funds in your bank account or at your disposal for your organisation is also really, really important. So I'll pause there for a moment. Has anybody got any questions around this first part? So what I am also going to do, I'm going to do a couple of worksheets tomorrow, just as a bit of a cheat sheet to work out so that you know what these main topics are and how we can be a bit more strategic before we're searching for grants, and then use that information to do our targeted searching so that we're more efficient and more effective. So if no one's got any questions, what we're going to move on to now is how we can save searches and we can be getting our alerts on a weekly basis like I get. So if we were say we are in Queensland, we're looking for open grants, we are community, we are rural and regional, we're LGBTQI, we help with mental health, and we do some education and training. So I'm just randomly picking some here, just in case anyone's wondering. So we're in Queensland. Jess, a question for you. If I click Queensland, does that mean that the national grants will come up under that as well?
Good question. Someone actually just asked the exact same thing in the chat. So also select national, which I think it didn't used to work that way. I've just tested that when someone asked the question. So it did used to keep both. So I think maybe in one of the recent updates we've done, that's unselected it. So we'll look at that. So it makes sense to have national ticked as well, actually, for Queensland. But yeah, tick both.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So obviously everyone knows where they're based. And you can also tick all of these. It doesn't matter. I'm just using this as an example.
Again, like you said, Liz, if you're looking at, you might be based in New South Wales, but you're going to be expanding into Queensland, for example, make sure you look at Queensland opportunities.
Absolutely. And I think, so what we're going to do here is we're going to save the search and create a search alert. And so if you were across national, I would actually also be creating a different alert for each state that you were in.
Yep.
And I know it means you get more emails, but again, you'll get more targeted responses that are more relevant, and it will just help you get those grant opportunities faster to your inbox. So Queensland, we're going to be looking at opening soon and always open. And we're going to say we're non-government, and I'm just going to leave those there as well and leave this pretty broad. I've got a couple of alerts already set up. I work with a lot of different clients across the whole of Australia, across different industries. So mine are very broad. And this is why I generally are just scrolling through and browsing through, as well as looking at my alerts that come through, I think every Monday and Thursday, is it? Or no, Monday, I think. Is that the day that I set it up, or is it always Monday, Jessie?
Weekly. If you're on weekly, it's the day that you created it.
Brilliant. Okay, cool. So if you create it today, Wednesday, it will be next Wednesday that you'll get your update email as well. DGR status, I'm just going to leave those all ticked, and co-contribution required, I'm going to leave them all ticked as well. Just because sometimes, you know, we just don't want to cut ourselves off for any opportunity. I'm going to go refine, and then that will update. There's a few grants in that I really want to look at after this session, so that's cool. Then I'm going to click up here to save the search. And this is really simple. I absolutely love this. I'm just going to name it Queensland Grants 2025. You can get an alert every day if you choose to, so that will update for any new grants that have come in each day. I go every week. I personally think every day is probably a bit much. You'll just get overwhelmed, and then you'll probably never read the emails. You'll be like, oh no, there's another one, and there's another one. And so if you do it each week, comes out, this will come out every Wednesday. And then I'll be like, oh cool, I've got 5 minutes, I'll read through the email. And then what I do love about those emails, if you're on your computer, you click on the link to the grant, and it takes you straight to the Grants Hub website, and all the information is there. So I'm just going to click create. And these are the 2 other ones that I have. This is for a particular client, and Business Grants Australia as well. So again, I've got different categories there as well. Can we send a saved search to another person in your business? Jessie, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was just answering that in the chat. You can definitely, you could just forward the email to them. If they click for more details, they won't be able to open it in the Grants Hub, obviously, unless you've got a shared username, or you've got multiple usernames. So the Essential and the Premium both have 2 usernames that you can add to it. So some people have like a business manager or a finance person, a treasurer on the committee, plus someone else who might be looking at grants. The team plan's got 10 users, but yeah, you can certainly forward them on the email.
Absolutely. So we're going to go back to this search. So you could set up as many as you liked here, with as many combinations of topics and as many combinations of these different search categories as well.
Just remember, you'll get an email for every single one of those.
Correct.
So it's that balance between, someone like Liz is working with so many different organizations that she wants a lot. The subject line of the email does tell you what the alert is for. So if you find you're getting like too many, like I'm getting too many at the moment because I've got a whole heap of tests running, I can just go into the right ones and either delete them or update them.
Absolutely. And so then what one should I click on here? I'll click on the AFL National Community Volunteer Awards, since it's National Volunteer Week. And then this is the page when you click on the particular grant. And I love this. It's got the amount, the provider, whether it's open, and then the dates. And this is even great that it's showing, well, there was one last year, there was one the year before, and now there's one for this year. Just be careful now also with the open and close date as well. Some grants are, as Jessie said, we're getting a little bit of a notice where they'll do like a 2-week window, and then you won't actually be able to submit your application until it opens, and then there'll be 4 weeks. So again, just checking those dates. Who can apply? Sporting clubs and individual. We don't need DGR, and there's no co-contribution required. We can download the PDF, which is basically what you see on the screen here, which you can then send that to your team. You can also add it to favorites. So you just click on that and it'll alert it. If you are on the not the essential one, premium plans, you can add to compare and work out. It'll do that. You can also click here for apply. But also I love this here, click here to view. So this takes you directly to the grant in the web page, and it also opens another tab. So I can end up with a million tabs of Grants Hub here, and also with the actual grants as well. So then we can be looking at it. What are the categories? How can we apply? The information is all there. And I think this is the gold of the Grants Hub. I've used a lot of other directories where it becomes very cumbersome. You can't link. You've got to then go to somewhere else and find it yourself. So I think just being able to click through makes it much easier for everybody as well. And then I'll just go back to my original one. So as I say, you can end up with, I can end up with 20 tabs, which is fine.
It's like It's at the final stage in our product roadmap. So it's just about to go, like within the next couple of weeks, that will change. So you can see what the page title is that you're on. So it'll actually have like the grant name on the browser. So if
Oh,
you've got
brilliant. Yeah.
multiple tabs, it'll save people a heap of time. Yeah, a few people have requested it just because of that exact situation.
Yeah, cool. And so then we're back here, and then we can just click back to the grant search and oh no, oh that didn't work. Hold on, now I've lost my hold on.
Can you just go back
Yeah.
again?
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
you're in a different tab.
That's in a different tab, so you've got to go back. Yeah, that's right. It keeps our search and then it opens the one we clicked on in another tab. And so you just got to go back to your original tab here to go back to our search here. That's right. No dramas. So that's all I really wanted to show you, because I can show you different combinations, but I think, everybody's different. Working out what topics, what themes, what you are looking for, what time frames, what amounts are really, really important. So there's a bit of pre-work in that, what I call getting grant ready, but knowing what type of projects, what's on your wish list. And if people can now just jump into the chat and tell us what type of grants, what type of projects have they got on the go that they're looking for grants at the moment. So is it equipment? Is it training? Is it staffing? Is it what are those projects that are on your wish list? You don't have to provide much detail. It's really just, I'm always interested to see what people are looking for. Yep, digital innovation, media campaigns, training for volunteers, absolutely. So again, from browsing through the Grants Hub, you'll also see the types of organisations that are giving out grants, and then you can be looking and seeing what, either signing up for their direct emails as well can be really helpful, and knowing who you keep an eye out for as well. Setting up new businesses, whole hire, funding for programs, web design, wellbeing programs, and you can see, the array of projects that people are wanting for, recruitment of staff. So that's where we need to be really smart about matching the grant opportunities that are there, the projects that we've got, and what ones that we want to be looking for. If anyone's got any questions on any of that, we're going to jump into the Q&A now. And so if you have any questions, please either pop them into the chat, or we can unmute you as well.
There's been some really great questions coming in. So if anyone wants to scroll back up there, feel free. And I'll do my best to answer as many as I can while we're in this, and stay on longer if I need to.
Absolutely. Have you got any tips or anything you want to share, Jessie, that we haven't covered today?
You've done a really good job, Liz. It's always interesting seeing the different ways that people use it. So I know some people do, like Liz, you were saying you do weekly alerts. I was speaking to someone last year at a charity, and she actually picks the daily ones because she just wants to be in there every single day and seeing what comes out. That's how she manages her whole funding roadmap. So, there's different ways that people do it. Because I'm across it all the time, I actually look at the most recently updated a lot, or the most recently added, if you want to see brand new grant opportunities coming out. Added can also be a way to gauge, get a bit of a sense of trends that are happening in grants. So, a couple of people here have mentioned they want things in AI. We're seeing some of those grants starting to come out for businesses, really limited, really limited still, but just as everything goes in trends that I was saying earlier, there'll no doubt be a lot more funding coming up for AI, and I think not-for-profits, we've had like a digital capacity building, some grants coming out with that. I think we could have so many more, or more unrestricted grant funding. I'm sure everyone agrees with that. But yeah, hopefully we'll see a lot more AI stuff coming out soon, but that is definitely a limited area at the moment with funding providers.
Yeah, brilliant. So there's one question here from Christina, and it's the one thing that one of my clients brought up the other day with me. Is it possible to filter down further within a state? So I suppose at that local government authority level, is that something that's on the horizon for the Grants Hub, or how do you suggest that?
Yeah, it's on our problem solving board. So we've looked at so many different ways to address it, that still gives us an accurate result, and it's really tricky. So honestly, for us as a business using AI more and more, that's certainly a lot more possible now. So, you know, trying to get it as accurate as possible, so that you're not missing out on things as well. So regional and rural, you can do with a topic and then go to state. So we've definitely got that. Someone else earlier suggested, could we add city as a topic, which is a great
Yeah,
idea, little
or metro,
workaround.
yes, yeah,
Yeah, and we do
yeah.
have actually in our back end, we have the cities listed. They're just not on the front. Oh, sorry, front end. I'm talking like a tech. I ended up being more and more of a tech person in this. What you can see, you can't see the cities, but that is something that we can add through from the back end if people would find that really helpful, as well. So yeah, all of these ideas are really helpful for me that I can take back in and keep making the Grants Hub better.
Absolutely. Someone said, can you refine search for wages only for existing programs? I'd probably say no to that.
No, I'm trying to think of what filters we've got in there now. There's some around professional development, leadership, um, like operational costs are just really difficult to get grants for.
Absolutely. I was going to say wages
Yeah,
are one of those things that unless it's specifically for the program or the project that you're applying for, ongoing wages are never, normally never included in a grant.
and definitely not as a standalone. So,
Absolutely,
you
yes.
know, a way you can kind of build it into your project is work out how much someone might be, particularly a consultant or potentially a project manager for a specific time-bound project. I know that's not ideal because it means we're offering people contracted positions. And there's the conflict between funding providers wanting financial sustainability, but they also don't want to fund, you know, the wages. So there's a bit of a catch there that, you know, the whole sector needs to catch up on.
And same with if we're as an organisation applying for a project funding and we decide we're going to be the project manager, quite often there's not available funding for us to be the project manager, but if we choose to get a consultant, that is covered.
Correct.
One of my bugbears as well. So
Yeah,
anyway,
it's very frustrating.
just
Yeah,
note
but
that.
if you can build it into your project, do it that way, and proving that it's essential for the success of the project and to get a better result, a better outcome for the people that you're working with, or the environment, and also for the funding provider. Otherwise, you can try and use that as your in-kind contribution. So when you're building out a project, you might have enough budget to cover some of the wage. So you can say that that's your contribution to it. So make sure you're thinking through that. It not only can meet the requirement for co-contribution, but it shows the funding provider that you're really invested into the project and making it happen, that you're not just going to roll it out if they give you the money.
Absolutely. And there's some other really good questions. Some are very specific that we're not going to cover today, unfortunately. This is more really focused on using the platform as a directory rather than do grants exist for this. That's the point. You log into the Grants Hub and search for yourself. But
if people have got other questions too, feel free to either email me and the team, like I've got other people I can work with as well, info@thegrantsHub.com.au, or find me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to chat to people and help answer your questions around anything. A few people have asked about if we miss any grants or do we try and capture anything. What if they find a grant we've got listed that might have a broken link, which happens despite our best efforts to keep on top of those, or a deadline change, sometimes an extension, or funding providers sometimes just bring it forward and cut it off early with no notice. Definitely let us know. We always want to know that and we fix them instantly. So 100%. This is like we're providing the service, but we can make it better and better with more and more of your input.
absolutely, that's such a good point. There is one question here that I will answer around if you're applying for a grant and they're asking if you've applied for other grants or received other grants, you do need to be honest in that section,
Yep.
because it's not that sometimes they can actually see that as a good thing, that it's not your first grant that you're applying for. So again, you know, we can't assume anything. You just have to be honest in that space. And we don't know how they're going to use that information or even why they're asking it. So great question. And I know that sometimes that can make people nervous because they're like, oh, if I've got another grant, they're not going to give me this one. Sometimes it actually goes the other way because they're like, oh, they've got a grant, they've done this other project, they've acquitted it. Because remember, the government's risk averse as well. So you need to, in your application, make sure that you are giving them the confidence and demonstrating that you can fulfill these requirements and deliver your proposed project as well. So that's definitely what we need to be looking at. I am just going to jump back into the website here, and can everyone see that again?
Can I just ask one quick question, Liz, that might be relevant? I don't know if you've got any experience with this one. Someone's asked, when there's no cap for money offered by club grants, which is specific to New South Wales,
Yes.
what, in your opinion, is too much to ask for? Do you, Liz, or anyone else in the chat maybe, have an answer for that? I
I'm
personally
happy to
don't.
answer that. I think the thing when there's no limit, and I've got another grant, not a club grants one, but another grant that I'm doing for a client where there's a minimum but not a maximum. What you've then got to think about is, do we really need to be doing the project that we're proposing in terms of the complexity of it, or the, including everything? And then thinking about, well, does what I'm applying for demonstrate value for money? So just because we can get a $250,000 shed that really we could suffice with $125,000 shed because we're going to paint it in gold plate and have concrete floors or something like that, the providers are going to be like, well, hang on a minute, this isn't value for money. So I think the way to answer that question is my proposed project demonstrating value for money, in line with the benefit and the impact that we're trying to achieve by doing that project? So again, it comes back to that strategy. Why are we doing it? What's the impact going to be? And who, and even numbers of impact. So say if it was to build a shed at a sporting club and we're asking for $250,000, we're like, well, there's 500 members here, as opposed to 10 members. And again, what's that value for money? So that's the approach that I take to those types of questions. Great question though, because it is really hard. Same with if there is a limit on a $100,000, $75,000, do we apply for 75? Do we apply for 73? Do we apply for 20? How long's a piece of string? And it comes back to, what is it, the project that you would do if you were paying it for yourself and there was no grant? That's the other question I would ask myself as well. So value for money, and what would I be doing if I had to fund this myself or our organisation without the grant?
And see if they've got any past recipient information on their website.
Absolutely,
Just do a
yes.
bit of a
Look
dig.
at the last, So if
Yep.
you're in Queensland, the Gambling Community Benefit grant that's up in July for 100,000, you can go and see the last recipients, and sometimes they have a $35,000 round. Sometimes people will apply for a $2,000 project. Some people will apply for 35,000. Some people will apply for 33,500, just under. So you'll be able to see, but again, does your project demonstrate value for money? That's the number one thing that they're looking for as well. But great questions. Has anybody got any other questions? I know a few people have jumped off because they're going to the next meeting. As I say, this has been recorded, so that is fine. I'm just going
whether we're international, this is focused on Australia. So we do have some, you'll see the international category there. We're getting more for New Zealand, but it's like they have to be Australia plus somewhere else, or an Australian organisation who might be working in PNG or Fiji or somewhere else as well. So yeah, that's the limitation at the moment.
Predominantly Australia. So I just want to wrap up and thank everybody for their time today. Jessie has kindly provided a special offer for those that are not currently signed up to the Grants Hub until the end of the month. So you've got 10 days to take advantage, and to get 20% off the first 12 months of any subscription plan if you use the code SearchLikeAPro. And if you haven't got a pen to scribble that down, all the information will be in the email that gets sent out tomorrow. And if
you are a member and you've just signed up recently and haven't had a discount, let me know. We can, I'm here to help you find grants. So yeah, don't make that a barrier or something you don't like us for.
Absolutely. That's so generous of you, Jessie. And if you are wondering, well, it's all very good, I know how to search for them, I find the grant, then what am I going to do? If you do want me to write your grants, it is fee for service. And the best thing to do is you've found the grant, you've aligned and matched your project, you've checked your eligibility, or you're pretty sure you're eligible. Feel free to email me the information. I need the guidelines, I need the application form, which is normally available in a PDF from the grant provider, and just 2 to 3 sentences about your project and why you think you're eligible, and what that application would look like. Send me the email, I'll email you back a quote, and then we can get started if you wish to proceed. So that is the best way to get me to write your grants. One thing I also didn't show you in the Grants Hub is the resource page with all the other grant writers that are there and all the many blogs that are out there as well. I'll put a link to them in the email that we send out as well, because that can also help with your confidence in searching for grants, writing for grants, and knowing that we're applying for the right grants. And just to finish off, I just want to say thank you to Jessie for joining us. And also using this opportunity to let you know, you're the very first people to be let know that I have created with a group of colleagues a new not-for-profit called the Regional Advantage, which is going to help regional, rural and remote community group and sporting club members, so committees and not-for-profit committees, to be better equipped with governance knowledge and practical help on how to effectively and efficiently run their groups and clubs without burnout. So the idea is, at these initial stages, we're going to be creating a resource training platform, and we'll be launching on Friday, and I will send you an email with all the details. We've got a survey that we'd love anybody to fill out to help us work out what those issues are so that we can be targeting our response and our solutions to make it work for you. Just like Jessie, same philosophy. We're there to make it easy, to help people and simplify the process of board governance, committee governance, and of course there'll be grant information in there as well. So just wanted to slip that in here, especially because it's National Volunteers Week. We have targeted this as our launch week, and Friday is the day. So I've got a little bit to update on the website and the survey, and that will be coming to your inbox as well. So
it's very exciting. I think for all of you as volunteers, or even if you're here in a paid capacity, burnout is a real thing in the not-for-profit space. It is in any space, but so many of you are givers by nature, so avoiding burnout, highly recommend. As someone who's managed to do it a couple of times really successfully, doing my best not to do that again.
Awesome. So thank you so much. Thank you for being a great audience. Thank you for asking some great questions and sharing with us today. If you do want to get in contact with myself or Jessie, we've got the Grants Hub for Jessie and the Grants Club for me. As I say, all this information will be in an email sent out tomorrow in case you don't grab it now. Don't forget that code for 20% off, Search Like a Pro. And I hope that you have learned some tips and tricks of how to search more effectively and efficiently for your organisation. So thank you so much. Have a great day. Thanks to all the volunteers for all the great work you do. Thank you to Jessie for joining us today and being part of this. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thanks for putting it on, Liz. Really great initiative. It's been awesome.
And we will see you again soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.